absolutely horrible situation in Florida, police officer versus high schooler. A high schooler. They were able to get double underhooks, throw the officer to the ground, and then what looked like multiple strikes once the officer was on the ground. How could this have been prevented? How could the officer defended themselves or handled this in a way that they might not have been in such risk? If you want to know more about this, stay tuned. Coming up next. So the police officer is on scene and they're breaking up a fight. This video was sent to me by a colleague and friend, and I couldn't help but make comment because we need to do something about this. My whole passion in regards to jiu-jitsu is to make this world better by people becoming better people. And then secondly, how to defend themselves against attackers in a way that they don't have to actually kill the person in order to defend themselves, but they know how to neutralize the threat. And the passion that I have for law enforcement officers, not only to train them so that they can become more peaceful and more confident and be able to de-escalate situations that normally don't have to become extremely violent or deadly, but also to get them home safely again. Responding to a 911 call where they're going to be the one to actually interact to help protect somebody, and are they prepared to know how to do that physically without losing their life or causing loss of life in someone else. In this situation, you've got what looks like a very strong high schooler. They attacked the officer, got double underhooks. You'll see the perpetrator double underhooks and C-clasps on behind the officer. This is an excellent leverage technique to be able to actually then get your hip and throw the individual to the ground. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. The officer is thrown to the ground. That alone, that jarring mechanism of the officer getting taken off his feet, losing control, losing balance, and getting thrown to a hard ground is enough to actually jolt an individual to feel like they got a punch to the head. And you can tell that because of the aimless kicking of the feet. In my opinion, that as a coach shows me they're not able to get their feet underneath them, even on the ground, push into the individual, turn into the individual, and get on top again. And then on top of that, the perpetrator actually appears to stand over the officer, almost like a knee on belly or a tripoding, and just rains down. The officer is clearly in the least advantageous position, and it sounds like the saving grace here actually was that a couple bystanders got involved, which is completely mind-blowing to me because bystanders don't usually get involved. How could this have been handled differently? That's the takeaway. And first of all, distance management. You know, the Gracies taught us a tried and true principle of engagement in warfare, that if you're not ready to overcome the enemy, you've got to keep distance between you. And if they can reach out and strike, grab, kick, then you're too close. We have to close the gap when it's advantageous to us, not when it's advantageous to our opponent. And so keeping a distance, I think, probably broke down right away when the officer grabbed the first perpetrator. By doing that, now he's not able to see the whole environment. The scene safety situation is very bad now. Perpetrator gets a vendetta, wants to jump into the fight, and grabs the officer and then starts attacking the officer. So distance management and scene awareness at all times. Every perpetrator or prospective perpetrator can be handled and managed correctly is utmost important. Like a live wire on the ground. You wouldn't want to just rush in and help somebody if you're going to step on a live high power wire and die from electrocution. You wouldn't want to just jump into a pile of people and start breaking people out and putting both hands on them if there's an attacker just over your shoulder, and that's what happened here. Number two, pummeling our own arms in to make sure that when we are going to actually come into a clench, that we have at least one underhook, if not double underhooks. Therefore, we're then able to bring the fight to the ground, not stand up with the opponent, but take the fight to the ground, either with a hip throw, a single leg or double leg takedown, super basic, trip takedown, sweep takedown, any kind of takedown, get the perpetrator off their feet and disempower them. As long as their feet are connected to the ground, they have energy, kinetic energy, to deliver strong punches and kicks. We want to take the fight to the ground, get past those legs, get to an advantageous pin, whether that's crossbody pin or a full mount pin. So again, what should have happened here? Probably distance management. If that perpetrator gets their hands on you, now we've got to deal with it. And that's what exactly happened. Again, could it have been prevented? That's who knows. But the perpetrator did grab the officer. The officer had to fight back. So what does it take to do that? It takes training. It takes drilling. It takes a coach. It takes scenario-based setups and know how to handle them. But no training, no effectiveness. I'm going to say it again. No training, no drilling, no effectiveness. Law enforcement officers are called to go to a 911 call, and many times it is because there is a violent act in progress. They're going to actually have to get their hands on. If they want to know how to do that and come out as legally sound as possible to be able to neutralize the threat, control the threat without damaging the individual any more than they have to with control, they need to learn jiu-jitsu. And they need to learn it, they need to drill it, they need to train it, they need to practice it, because your life and other people's lives may depend on it. It's terrible what happened. We've got a mess on our hands right now in society. But we can either continue to be part of the problem, or we can be part of the solution. And I'm committed to being part of the solution. So on behalf of Vanguard BJJ, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you got feedback on this, I'd be happy to continue this conversation. But again, let's not just be part of the problem. Let's not just watch these videos and then not do anything about it. Let's, as a coaching community, as a jiu-jitsu community, let's help these officers be prepared not to be bullies, not to go and abuse their authority, but to become more confident, to become more peaceful, and then to go out there and be able to handle society in an equitable and just way. That's my goal. Until next time, stay on the mat.